Joe Gibbs Racing is exactly who we thought they were. How's it going, everyone? This is the Matt Weaver video blog recapping the first race of the NASCAR chase for the championship in 2015, won by Denny Hamlin. And yeah, that was a Dennis Green throwback, if you will. Joe Gibbs Racing is exactly who we thought they were, and the rest of the garage let them off the hook. So, what a crazy weekend. You know, before I talk about the Sprint Cup weekend there in Chicagoland, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone at ARCA. As most of you guys know, I joined the broadcast on Saturday night for the Federated Car Care Fall Classic 200 at the Salem Speedway. My debut as a pit reporter for that series, for any national series. And it was a thrill ride, and I'm sleepy. You know, you guys can see the dark circles under my eyes, and I had a heck of a weekend driving back and forth from downtown Chicago for Chase Media Day on Thursday, for the race weekend at Salem for the ARCA Series on Saturday, and back to Joliet, Chicagoland Speedway on Sunday for the Cup race. I am pooped. But we made it back home. We're all here in one piece. A slightly delayed video blog from what I'm used to doing. Usually the night of the race I'll try to do these things, but it was worth it. It was worth it for the weekend that we had, and I just want to thank Tim Clagg and Charlie Crawl for giving me the opportunity to come on board and join their broadcast. But more important matters at hand, the Cup Series stuff. You know, the chase has started. Denny Hamlin fired the first shot. He wins the myafib.com 400. In doing so, he locks himself into the next round of the chase. He's secure. No matter what happens at New Hampshire and Dover, he is the only driver that is guaranteed a spot in the round of 12, the contender round. And so it's obviously a big deal for him, for Gibbs, for David Wilson, everyone at TRD. A job well done. But here's the thing. You know, we talked all week during the lead up to this race that Joe Gibbs Racing was the favorite, and that the path to Homestead Miami Speedway was going to go through the four JGR cars, but they weren't dominant. You know, they made some mistakes. I felt like several teams let them off the hook. You look at Kurt Busch, who led 37 laps. You look at Jeff Gordon, who led 41 laps. They started on the front row with 6 laps to go, and they had an opportunity to steal a win from JGR, given all the hype we put into them. And going back to Dennis Green, you know, they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon, in my opinion, let JGR off the hook. And the race came down to a restart, 6 laps to go. Set up by a caution with 10 laps to go, a debris caution that I feel like was kind of rubbish. I've made no secret about it. You know, never changed NASCAR. There was no reason for that debris caution. That's just the reality. But it happened, as it's prone to do in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It set up a 6 lap to go restart. Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch stayed out from first and second. Denny Hamlin was fourth. He stayed out on old tires. And Denny took him 3 wide. And when you go into a 3-wide situation at Chicagoland with all the different lanes that you have to work with, he who blinks loses, and Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch, they blunk and they lost on that deal, and Denny Hamlin emerged on the other side of that first lap off the restart as the leader and cruised to victory. To me, that speaks volumes. You know, Denny Hamlin didn't have new tires, so it's not like he beat Jeff and Kurt on new tires. He beat them straight up, and he had a lot of guys behind him who had tires. His teammate Carl Edwards was coming and had an opportunity there on the last 2 laps to make a good run at Denny. Just couldn't get it done. But you know, JGR, you know, they are who we thought they were. You know, you look at the points report right now, it's crazy. We can talk about how Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch let them off the hook, but JGR, they're the real deal. You look at the points right now, Matt Kenseth is your championship leader. Denny Hamlin is second, but of course he's automatically guaranteed into the round of 12. Carl Edwards is third. Kyle Busch is fourth. JGR has the top 4 positions in the chase for the championship after one race. And these guys are going to be tough all year long. But that's not the big story, The JGR doing their thing, that's not the biggest thing to come out of Chicagoland. We promised during media day and the build up to this deal, we promised that there would be shenanigans, there would be fights, there would be tempers, and we got it started early at Chicagoland. Near the midpoint of the race, there was some contact off a restart between Jimmie Johnson and Kevin Harvick. It created a tire rub on the number 4 car. Kevin tried to hold on to it for 3 or 4 laps, and eventually that tire blew, and it sent him back end into the wall. Excuse me, just had some tacos. Pretty damn good. Sent Harvick back into the wall, ended his day. He finished 42nd, limped to the finish, and we've got some big time storylines to watch at New Hampshire and at Dover, because now Kevin Harvick finds himself dead last in the chase grid. He's 22 points behind Jeff Gordon for the 12th and final transfer spot into the next round, and he can make that up on Jeff. That's 12, 13 points per race the next 2 races, but I feel like he's going to have to win, unless he can go back to finishing 2nd and 3rd here in the chase, which that's not out of the ordinary. That's not out of the question, but JGR is going to be really tough to beat. They're going to be taking up those top 5 or 6 spots, and so that's going to leave Kevin to have to fight the likes of Truex and Newman, who had a really good run, the 48 team. It's going to be really hard to crack the top 5. So Kevin Harvick may be in a must-win situation over the next 2 weeks, and certainly he can get it done, but it's a tall task. So whatever magic he used to make it all the way to Homestead last year, winning Phoenix, winning Homestead to win the championship, he's going to have to pull out some more of that here over the next 2 weeks. But let's break down what happened. So you had the restart. You had Joey Logano behind Jimmie, giving him a huge shove. I'm not placing blame on anybody. I think maybe Kevin could have gave a little bit to let Jimmie in, but it's the chase for the championship. You're not going to let anyone in just because you feel bad for him. It was early in the race, so I'm not sure Kevin had to pinch him as hard as he did. Conversely, I don't think Jimmie had to force the issue like he did either. I don't think he had to come in and literally door slam Kevin to kind of move him over, but that's how it played out. I think that Kevin has every right to be mad. We saw after the race Jimmie go to talk to Kevin to try to explain his side of the situation and try to smooth it over, and Kevin was having none of it. He punched Jimmie. I called it a shove on Twitter initially, and that was a punch. That was a punch right to the lung, to the left lung, and he made a statement. And now Kevin's going to have to make another statement over the next 2 weeks. It's hard racing. That's the bottom line. It's tough. You're in the chase for the championship. You feel like every position matters, because they do. Restarts are so important. You assume you're going to get several more restart opportunities, but with the standard 2015 package, the only time that you can get spots really is on these restarts. And Jimmie and Kevin both felt they really didn't have the luxury to let the other guy in, especially on a restart when you're racing for the lead. And this is what happened. So, again, I don't want to place blame on either guy. I know both of them have their opinions on what happened. I talked to Jimmie after the race, and Jimmie said he was trying to inch over. Brother, that wasn't an inch. You door slammed the 4, and I don't blame you. I've been in a driver's seat before. I've raced. I've been there, and you got to go, and you got to get over. You didn't inch over. You door slammed him. Kevin, you got to know the 48 is going to do everything he can to get over. I feel like it was a situation where both drivers could have given a little bit more. Several other notes. Jeff Gordon, again, he finished 14th. Disappointing because he ran in the top 5 for much of the second half of the race. That was the one guy where the no-tire strategy really did not work out in his favor. But let me tell you something. We've talked all week about how Hendrick Motorsports needs to pick up the pace, and they need to bring some more muscle here over the next 9 weeks now for the rest of the season. And the 24 car looked like the 24 car of 2014. And if they can bring the same sort of momentum to Dover and New Hampshire to close out this first round, and you give them an opportunity to have some really strong tracks for Jeff, like Charlotte, like Martinsville, all coming up. Kansas has always been really good for Gordon. That team could make some waves. But looking ahead and here to the next 2 weeks, got to pull up my standings. I don't know this stuff off the top of my head. I'm an awful journalist, I know. But we got Jamie McMurray is the first guy out right now, followed by Paul Menard, Clint Boyer, and of course Kevin Harvick. They are the drivers that are on the bubble right now. They've got to pick it up. Again, I still feel like Kevin is going to make a serious run for it. He's not out of it. He's the defending champion for a reason, and he's going to do everything that he feels like he has to do to get there. And you might see a situation where Kevin starts pushing and shoving on guys, Harvicking his way towards the front because you got to win. I'm really surprised that Clint Boyer had such a tough day. I wrote a column on popularspeed.com several weeks ago saying that team has really picked up the pace. MWR, the 15 team, the Swan Song season, a lot of top 10s. And they had some strong tracks coming up, and they still have strong tracks. New Hampshire is one of his best tracks, Clint Boyer, and I still feel like he's going to make at least make it interesting. But it's got to start at New Hampshire. You've got to go out there if you're Clint Boyer and get a top 5. Jamie McMurray, it was always going to be a long shot, but again, they barely made the chase as it was. So we've got some interesting races coming up. I'm not going to New Hampshire. I am going to go to Dover. It's going to be an exciting race. The dramatics have started early. JGR has proven they're the team to beat. Hendrick Motorsports has brought some muscle. Stewart Haas Racing has brought some muscle with Kurt Busch. Kevin Harvick's going to have to pick up the pace, but it was a fun weekend. I enjoyed what I did at Salem. I hope that the ARCA Racing Series will give me the opportunity to do it again. And hopefully we'll see you guys here to tweet up in the next couple of weeks. And we'll talk to you again. Follow me on Twitter at Matt Weaver, SBN. My stuff can be found at autoweek.com, popularspeed.com, at Race22 on Twitter. So we'll talk to you again next time. See you guys. Be good.